Sup, gamers? Welcome to a new video. I say welcome. I'm welcoming you. Isn't this inviting? Isn't this pleasant? The fuck am I going on about? We got some new headphones since you last saw me. Yes, look at them. They're shiny. They have speakers. So that means when I don't have to get headphone hair all day. I can just play them like this when I'm playing by myself. It's pretty great. It's pretty awesome. And also they glow, but the headphones are a little slidey. You know how it is. But today, you've seen the title of the video. You've seen what this is all about. This is about you, the people. It's about teaching you guys tips to survive Baldur's Gate 3. Because I've been seeing some rabble online, some talk that Baldur's Gate 3 is too difficult, that it's too hard and boo-hoo. I've been even seeing stuff from tabletop gamers being like, this is so much harder than actual D&D. And to that I say, fuck you, grow up. This is exactly how I like my D&D played. I don't want to be forgiven. I want to be murdered. So today, I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you survive Baldur's Gate 3 using what I know about D&D and what I've actually done in the game. Specifically, this is for Tactician mode. Tactician mode, the enemies have a bumped up stats, so they have more health and higher, like, ability scores and all that, so it's a little bit more difficult. As far as I can tell, the tactics they use are more or less the same, but it could be wrong. Either way, let's get into these tips. But before that, did you know that I have a Patreon? That is right. For the humble, simple, small price of $3 a month, you can support me. You can join the Patreon. You get all of my videos 24 hours early. You can send me DMs that I try to answer at least once per day, so you can have a direct line to me, talk to me about D&D builds, your D&D campaign. You can rabble to me about how much you hate me. All good stuff. So, if that interests you, join the Patreon. It sounds like a good time. I bet it is a good time. I bet it will be a great time for you. It also helps me pay my editor. That's right, my editor. I have an editor now. Say hello. Last week you... Probably turn off the alert box, huh? Say hello, editor. Last week you got oatmeal. Porridge this week. Aren't you so lucky? Now that I've advertised the Patreon, let's get to it. So, 5 tips to help you survive Baldur's Gate 3. Tip number 1, be a druid. Now, in D&D, druids are often overlooked full spellcaster. Most people just pick them because of their wild shape, because turning into animals sounds cool and fun, and that's why people pick druids. They want to turn into animals. But do not forget, druids are competent and potent spellcasters, capable of casting up to 9th level spells in D&D. In this game, you get up to 6th level, because you only get to level 12. But they are full spellcasters, and they have a litany of incredible spells that are great for area denial, such as like Wall of Fire, Spike Growth, other excellent spells like that. Like tons of great spells to utilize. Druids also can turn into animals. The Moon Druid, for example, can turn into a variety of combat forms, like the Owl Bear, which is a beast in these games that does stupid crazy damage, pushes people back, which if you're using a strategy that I'm going to mention in this video, pushes people back, denies space, enrages, does area of effect damage. The spider that you can transform into can spit web over an area, and you get this at level 3. It makes it difficult terrain. It roots people. It's a free cast of web, all for just turning into a spider. Like, all of these are really super good. They're all amazing to use, and the druid has one of the most potent spell lists in the game, with such crazy spells as Pass Without Trace. There are tons of sections that can be trivialized through competent use of stealth. Pass Without Trace gives you a flat +10 to your stealth checks. There are sections that can be straight up ignored with really good stealth, or you can set up crazy traps or snipe them. Druid is insane. Definitely try, if you're struggling with the early parts of the game, use Withers to swap into Druid, give it a try and see how it feels. Tip number 2, Spike Growth. If you've seen my last video, you know that I personally think Spike Growth is the best spell in the game. Spike Growth is incredibly powerful, it is incredibly competent. Spike Growth is a spell that cordons off a 20-foot radius circle and fills it with spikes. that if the enemy walks through, they take damage for. The damage they take is 2d4 per 5 feet in D&D, and it translates to the same thing in Baldur's Gate, which basically means that if you trap people on the other side of it, if they need to walk through that, they are going to be taking shitloads of damage. Now, in my last video, a lot of people were saying, well, what about jumping people? That's exactly why you have pushing abilities. That's why you set up your team with things like Thunder Wave to launch them back, a strong person like Carlock to shove them back into the spikes. And this makes your shoves and your pushes also deal damage. That's right, they get dealt damage even if they are pushed into the spikes, not just if they walk through them. So Eldritch Blast with Repelling Blast, there's tons of abilities to force movement in this game. Utilizing your spikes is a great way to do it. It's a great way to set up area denial. It's a great way to set up choke points. It's a great way to force the enemy to do what you want to do. I highly recommend incorporating this spell into your strategies. Tip number 3, movement-based abilities. Now, this is something that as a D&D veteran is not very common. Abilities that force movement don't really happen all that much. The only ones I can personally really think of that I see commonly is Repelling Blast in D&D. But the shove action is entirely revamped for Baldur's Gate 3, and I highly recommend using it. Shoving isn't just good because it creates space. It is good because it creates space, that's part of it. Getting someone off you so you can run away without provoking an opportunity attack. Shoving someone into an area effect like spike growth or fire or slip and slide ice. The ice is so funny. People just like, whoop, and they slip on it. Cracks me up. Shoving is really important for that. You can also shove them off cliffs, straight up killing them. A bonus action's a murder weapon now. Definitely incorporate shoves into your strategy if you haven't already. Incorporate more of it. Shoves are incredibly powerful, incredibly strong, and can sometimes outright break encounters. Next step, tip number 4, focus fire versus area of effect damage. Let's talk about it. Action economy is very important. If you are in an encounter where you're outnumbered and outgunned, it's important to utilize your AoEs. However, this is only true if you can remove someone from the battle. Sometimes it's more important to focus fire a single target and remove them from the fight so you can start creeping up on action economy. Let's give a brief example. Let's say that your team of 4 is going up a team of 10. Now, the team of 10, if you hit them with an AoE, you'll deal a bunch of damage to all of them, but none of them will die. But if you focus fire, you can kill 2 of them. The rest will be perfectly healthy. What should you do? Well, in this case, I would recommend killing the 2. If you do the AoE and shoot like a bunch of them, yeah, a bunch of them are going to take damage, but they're all going to still be up and might be able to counterattack and kill your entire party. However, if you remove 2 of them, yes, you will still take a bunch of damage, but the next turn you can also take 2 more down, and the next turn 2 more, and next turn 2 more, and you'll continue to reduce their damage output. And then at the last end of the fight, you can AoE and remove a bunch of them at once. Use AoE to clean up fights. Don't use it to open fights unless you can guarantee the death of somebody. Always go for the kill. Always. If there is a time where you're not going to be killing someone and you're just going to be putting up an AoE damage, I rarely recommend that. It's just hard to argue that doing a bunch of damage to a bunch of people or killing at least one of them, it's hard to argue that the killing isn't the better option in between those two. So if you find that you're struggling in your combats because you're doing a lot of AoEs or you're doing a lot of damage but you're not necessarily getting kills, I would recommend swapping to strategies that focus more on killing. Next, and the final tip of today's video, tip number 5. Don't multiclass until level 5. And when you do multiclass, consider multiclassing into fighter. The reason why I say don't multiclass until level 5 is once you reach level 5, you're going to get access to a lot of abilities that kind of define how D&D and Baldur's Gate 3 work. You get abilities that you get, for example, the marshals get extra attack. This is a borderline necessary feature, and without it, you're going to be severely hindering your damage output and your chances to hit. It is a massive nerf, and you only get that at level 5. Spellcasters get 3rd level spells. These are very important. Counter spell, fireball, lightning bolt, hypnotic pattern, super strong spells that you need in order to actually be able to take care of fights. You need those spells at those levels. If you don't have counterspell, the other team is going to hit you with a massive fireball and your entire party is going to be down 30 hit points. And at that level, you've only got like 50 to spare. Counterspell is how you stay up on the action economy. Fireball is how you stay up on your damage. Extra attack does the same. You need to reach 5th level before you multi-class. But when you do reach 5th level, consider multi-classing into fighter. In D&D, the fighter is, in my opinion, the best multi-class for any game ever. And that holds true for Baldur's Gate 3. In Baldur's Gate 3, short rests are better than ever, and as soon as you get 2 levels in Fighter, you get access to Action Surge every short rest. This gives you a free extra action every single fight. It basically allows you to take 2 turns in a row without having to take 2 turns. And if your entire party is a whole turn ahead, that usually means you're winning the fight. I slap 2 levels of Fighter on everything. 2 levels in Fighter for the Wizard. Awesome. That's a Fireball and a Thunder Wave. 2 levels on the Druid. Great. Not only do I get to set up Spike Growth, I also get to Thorn Whip someone into the Spike Growth and turn into an Owlbear. Or Spike Growth, turn into an Owlbear, smack someone into it. It's a great use of multi-classing. It basically guarantees that you're ahead of everybody else in the fight. I highly recommend multi-classing into Fighter once you reach level 5. But don't do it before then, because you're going to be hamstringing your own growth as a character. Definitely wait post level 5. But with that, that ends the video. So thank you all so much for watching this. This has been great. I've been having a great time. I hope these tips will help you out if you've been struggling. If you haven't been struggling and you think I'm an idiot, please be sure to leave a comment. You know that always makes people feel good. If you liked the video, please like it. If you really liked it, subscribe and show it to your friends. Tell everyone that you know that you're better than them at Baldur's Gate 3. And with that, get the fuck out of my house.